Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Desiree Timms. I'm the president and CEO of Innovation Ohio, and I am thrilled to be with advocates and people doing the work in both Ohio and Florida to talk about why Ron DeSantis' visit to Ohio is not welcome and that he has a history and a record of problematic agendas. Today, we are going to outline a number of issues and topics about why Ron DeSantis is bad for Florida and why he's bad for Ohio and bad for our country. Today, we will have the chairwoman of the Ohio Democratic Party, Liz Walters, join us. We will have Representative Jessica Miranda. We have the chair, Kathy Wynot from Butler County, and we also have Dr. Rich Templin from Florida. And we are thrilled to also have a community activist from Florida also joining us, who is Angela Rose Myers. And we're really excited today to talk about what's happening as Ron DeSantis trots around our Buckeye State and why we do not want him here. Like many of the Republicans here in this state who are extreme, Ron DeSantis represents that same extreme and wicked ideology. He is very extreme on guns, very extreme on abortion. And we in Ohio know what will happen. We will see more 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old girls without access to the reproductive health care rights that they need. We will see women struggle and people who get pregnant be forced to travel to other states far away in order to save their lives to get access to those procedures. We know gun violence here in Ohio. We have seen gun violence in Florida. We know what that looks like. We do not support those policies. We don't need more people who support extreme agendas and policies that are not helping hardworking Americans every single day. We need someone who's going to solve the problems to lead us to a progressive trajectory, a life that is well-meaning, opportunity, hope, and a safe place and space for our children. Right now, LGBTQ children fear traveling to Florida, to travel to Disney World because of the policies that are championed by Ron DeSantis. So we would like to kick off this press conference by saying goodbye to Ron DeSantis, and I will gladly turn it over and pass the baton to our lovely chair, Liz Walters, to talk a little bit more about what's at stake today.
Thanks, Desiree. Good morning, everybody. And a big thank you to Innovation Ohio for having me on today and to all of you for joining. As Republicans, politicians in Ohio stumble all over themselves to embrace the most extreme wings of their party, Ron DeSantis's visit to the Buckeye State further exposes the deep divides in the Ohio Republican Party and puts their candidates in a tough spot. As much as GOP politicians in Ohio want to ignore DeSantis's visit and avoid taking sides in what is an increasingly nasty Republican presidential primary, voters deserve to know where they stand. Are they supporting DeSantis, Trump, one of the other extremists running for the nomination? Who are they aligning themselves with, and why are they standing behind them? And as DeSantis visits Ohio, where do they stand on his agenda? An extreme agenda that includes cuts to Social Security and Medicare, supporting an extreme abortion ban that would make abortion illegal before most women even know they're pregnant, that would ban abortion after 15 weeks with no exceptions for rape or incest, and that creates the potential for criminal penalties for patients and doctors. Calls to defund federal law enforcement, including the Department of Justice and the FBI, refusing to expand Medicaid, chasing after culture wars, and the list goes on and on and on. GOP politicians in Ohio seem to be taking pages right out of DeSantis's playbook, and we deserve to know where they stand on these issues, none of which are doing anything to help Ohio families get ahead. Ron DeSantis's record matches what so many of the Republican candidates running here in Ohio want to achieve. While Ohio Democrats are fighting for the dignity of work, Republicans in Ohio and DeSantis are fighting to strip workers of their dignity. But we are going to fight like hell to make sure that none of the GOP extremists running for higher office are successful. We look forward to drawing the contrast over the next year and a half between GOP extremists like Ron DeSantis, who want to implement an extreme agenda that hurts working families, and Ohio Democrats who want to put working families first. I'd now like to turn things over to Dr. Rich Templin, who is the Legislative and Political Director for the Florida AFL-CIO. Thanks, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate that. So as we're speaking right now, we are in week 6 of our 9-week legislative session, and we are existing in a hellscape right now. The people in Florida feel like we no longer live in the United States, that our state has been isolated, that we are living in an empire as opposed to a democracy. In the legislative process right now, the Florida legislature has completely rolled over for Governor DeSantis. They are giving him every single thing he wants. And the policy proposals that he is pushing are not designed to be real policy at all. They are unenforceable. They are confusing. They're poorly written. They're designed to do 2 things. 1, generate headlines. 2, reward those who are bankrolling his campaign. Consider some of these examples. Right now, the governor is moving hard to decertify our public sector unions throughout the state of Florida. This is going to nullify contracts in our school districts. This is going to nullify contracts in our county and city workers. These are Republicans, Democrats, NPAs who are all being victimized by Ron DeSantis. And the interesting thing, this isn't to get votes. The voters do not support this. We have independent polling showing that 85 to 93% of voters in Florida do not support what he's doing to the public sector unions. However, he wants the endorsement of the Right to Work Foundation, of ALEC, of this national network of right-wing think tanks. We've had hundreds of workers in committees testifying against these bills. Only 2 have shown up in support. They don't live in Florida, and they represent this right-wing network. We have an insurance crisis in the state where people are losing their homes because they can't afford insurance. So what the governor has done as a gift to the insurance industry, his biggest contributor, they have passed legislation that virtually wipes out all lines of insurance so that people will still continue to pay higher and higher premiums, but they've lost all their rights to access to the courts to hold the insurance companies accountable. Public sector investments. Right now, he says this is where Florida is where woke comes to die. He's targeting those investment programs that look at ESG, environmental, social, corporate governance. He's prohibiting our local pension boards from even discussing these companies and these investment products. They could face criminal penalty if they have those conversations. And so right now, our public sector pension investments across the state are in jeopardy. He's looking at higher education. He's eliminating free speech in our schools. He's wiping out whole programs of study. He took over an entire university and installed one of his toadies who is making more than 8 times more than any other president, university president in the state of Florida. He's pushed universal vouchers, which is going to cost our school system $4 billion in the next year. Some of our school districts are going to be decimated, and they're currently trying to figure out how they're going to survive. There's an immigration bill that is so extreme that a pastor could be arrested and charged for providing transportation for an undocumented parishioner to church. And again, all of this is unworkable. The policies don't work. It's designed for headlines, and it's designed to reward his biggest benefactors. This is my 22nd legislative session. I and my colleagues, regardless of the side of the aisle, have never seen anything like this, ever. Florida is under assault, and the people of Ohio need to understand the fundamental risk that this individual poses. And it's funny, just yesterday, and I know he's traveling to Ohio. Just yesterday, the legislature moved a bill that will shield his travel and taxpayer expense from the public. shielding him from what are some of the strongest public records laws in the state. They're giving him a carve out, so we will never know where he's traveling and who's paying for it. That's what is in the future if we don't stop Ron DeSantis. Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm supposed to kick it off to Representative Jessica Miranda. Representative, I apologize for that delay.
Thank you, Dr. Templin, and good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Miranda. I am the state representative in District 28, which is the northern suburbs of Cincinnati. I spent 5 years serving my local public school district as the school board president, and time again, we see out-of-touch lawmakers in Columbus introducing legislation that aims to defund our public schools, demonize our teachers, school counselors, and librarians. And this is exactly why I ran for the Ohio State House. And I am so proud to be an Ohio Democrat fighting hard to protect our public schools, our educators, our students, and their families. See, we have a people first agenda because that is what public service should be. Instead of telling educators what and how to teach and inserting big government into the classroom, we should be teaching all of America's history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Every student deserves a high quality education free from government interference. Ron DeSantis has inserted his skewed and jaded opinion into every aspect of Floridians' education system, and this is bad policy for the Sunshine State. And it pains me to tell you that this is familiar territory here in Ohio. My Republican colleagues here in the Ohio State House are pushing a government takeover of our state school board that takes the representation out of the public's hands. Instead of fixing all of the policy problems they have created over the last 30 years, they're refusing to show up for our students and the people of Ohio while making it harder to be a part of the electoral process. Ohio Republicans are fighting to defund public schools, and they have pushed invasive genital inspections for young girls who play sports. Genital inspections for young girls. I have to repeat that. Extremist agendas are bad for every state, each and every single day. We cannot allow a failure such as Ron DeSantis to gain any traction to run for higher office. We cannot allow the Ohio supermajority to continually take a page out of his book, catering to big donors, prioritizing politics over public safety, and putting our children's lives in danger with their extreme gun violence agendas. We must stand up and say enough is enough. When are we going to come together and stop putting politics over people? I've been called a rare bird before because I choose to speak truth to power in the Ohio State House. Today, I am here speaking against the type of bigotry and backwards policy that Ron DeSantis has cursed the state of Florida with. It is happening right here in Ohio too. And we must stand strong against hatred, against extremist politicians taking away all of our freedoms. And we must do everything to protect our people and our children from politicians who prioritize big donors over working people. Thank you so much for your time today, and I will now turn it over to Angela Rose Myers.
Thank you, Representative. Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Rose Myers Moroles. I am a resident of Miami Beach, Florida, formerly land stewarded by the Miccosukee tribes, Lower Creek tribes, and Bahamians who would fish and take care of this land. A couple of years ago, my husband and I decided that South Florida, specifically Miami, was going to be our home for our future, for as long as there is a future for us in Florida. My husband had gotten a fantastic opportunity to work in Miami, doing something that he loves. But me, I do research. I do research around police brutality and critical race theory. So as I looked into opportunities for me to do good research in Miami at a graduate program, I saw my options and opportunities over time dwindle as scholars in Black studies have left the state of Florida. Bills have entered the Florida legislature banning critical race theory, banning DEI initiatives, defunding Black college organizations, defunding Black colleges. I watched DeSantis stunt around limiting the access of AP African American Studies for Florida students. These policies do not foster academic freedom or promote rigorous scholarship. So I had to decide if I wanted to obtain a degree in a research area that might be censored or outlawed later down the road. And to be honest, that's not a decision. And it's not a reach since DeSantis has put forward his anti-woke agenda. Everything that I believe that I am called to research, to do, to promote, to advocate for, I have to wonder, will 5 years down the line, even calling out DeSantis right now today, put me in jail? So these are the type of things that young activists, young researchers, scholars are thinking about while we're working and doing this good work in Florida. But we're up for the fight. So why is DeSantis afraid of critical race theory? Because critical race theory demands that we care about people over racist institutions, and demands that we see all humans as equal and dismantle any system that creates inequality. DeSantis ought to be afraid of critical race theory. He ought to be afraid of young Black activists. He ought to be afraid of the research and the scholarship that critical race theorists are doing, because he is racist, homophobic, xenophobic, misogynist. He should be doing his job for all people of Florida, not just the white men who agree with him. He should be doing the work to protect all children, all scholars, and the future of Florida instead of campaigning around America. We're experiencing extreme flooding right now in South Florida, in Miami Beach, in Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. And DeSantis is on the campaign trail rather than doing his job. DeSantis will abandon America in a time of crisis, just like he is abandoning Florida right now. He will make it a more racist, xenophobic, homophobic country than it is right now, just like he has done in Florida. He would rather do this than work to serve all people in Florida. And then if he were to be president, he would rather work to serve his political interests than serve all people within America's borders. I stand with the Florida and Miami NAACP within their travel advisory to Florida. Florida right now, their policies are racist and are creating an unsafe environment for Black scholars, Black youth, and Black people. And all Black people in America should know right now that DeSantis is not going to represent you. He will leave you out to die just for his political interests. DeSantis is actively trying to make things worse for Black people in Florida. And I believe that if he were to be president or any type of national leader, he would make things worse for Black people across America. So thank you for having me today, and I will pass it on to Kathy Wynett.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Angela. I'm Kathy Wynett, and I am proud to serve as the chair of the Butler County Democratic Party. I've been a Butler County resident most of my life, graduating from high school here and Miami University, also here. My husband and I are raising our family here because we love what Butler County has to offer: strong public schools, thriving suburbs, and the exciting Rust Belt revival of the city of Hamilton. Its positioning just north of Cincinnati and along the I-75 corridor makes Butler County an ideal place to live, work, and play. With our nearly 400,000 residents, many Butler County families are thriving, and really they're on their way to living the American dream, but far too many are living paycheck to paycheck. Here in Butler County, a county that generally has a thriving economy and positive outlook, about half of the children here are enrolled in Medicaid, and over 1/4 of our kids receive nutrition assistance. This translates to about 1 out of every 8 people in Butler County living in poverty. As governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis has failed to address that state's affordability crisis. Under Ron DeSantis, the cost of housing in Florida has skyrocketed. Rent, insurance rates, and utility bills are through the roof. And while families struggle to pay the bills, he has raked in hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign cash from the same corporations and billionaires who are price gouging working families and seniors. Here in Butler County, with so many families living paycheck to paycheck as it is, this is not the kind of track record working families are looking for in a leader. Public schools continue to be amongst top employers in Butler County. And if Ron DeSantis' history in Florida of working to decimate traditional public education is any indicator of how his potential presidency would impact Butler County, Ohio, it is safe to assume many of our educators would find themselves in a very tough place. Lower salaries and wages, burnout, and politicians controlling their classrooms would likely force more educators out of their jobs, directly impacting Butler County families and having a ripple effect on Main Street small businesses. We've watched as DeSantis has pushed for and signed laws that courts over and over find unconstitutional. Those legal battles cost Florida taxpayers millions of dollars, but it seems that Mr. DeSantis has no regard for those taxpayers or even the rule of law. He's bailed out the insurance industry to the tune of billions of dollars and offered billions more in handouts to his big donors, billionaires and corporations, and he's left Florida taxpayers footing the bill. A President DeSantis doing the same thing to Butler County taxpayers? No thanks. Look, Ohio is desperate to attract young people here to work, to put down roots and to start a family. DeSantis's formula of pulling stunts for political gain, dismantling public education, hateful culture war policies, and a high cost of housing is not a recipe to bring them here. To put it simply, Butler County's working families cannot afford a Ron DeSantis presidency. And now I'll hand the floor back over to Desiree Timms.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your amazing remarks. If any media reporters have questions, you can drop them in the chat or raise your hand to direct them at a specific speaker. And Anders and Nick from my team will help maneuver through that. And if there aren't any questions, we will certainly follow up with speaker information and a conclusion press release to talk about why we are all here today, to talk about why DeSantis' visit to Ohio is unwelcome. We are not interested in any of those policies that we heard from the Florida representatives here on this call. We do not wish to have any of the atrocities that are attacking minority communities, ethnic communities, labor, and what we heard from Dr. Templin about what's happening at the State House is just unacceptable. That is not who we need as Americans in Washington leading our country. We need someone who's going to champion workers' rights, who's going to champion our diversity and our strengths, and provide policy and agenda outcomes that lead to a healthier, safer community in America that we all love and want to live and thrive in. And I don't think DeSantis represents that. And we clearly see from Dr. Templin and Angela Myers-Morales what's happening in Florida, and we don't want it in Ohio.
I do just like to say good luck to my sisters in Ohio.
Thanks, Dr. Templin. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.